The cantina on Station Fortuna had seen its share of violence. Located in the lawless sectors where 3 territories met but none claimed jurisdiction, it was a haven for pirates, smugglers, and those who preferred to operate in the shadows of galactic society. Tonight, it hosted a crew of Vorgoth raiders, 8 of the galaxy's most feared mercenaries. Standing nearly 7 feet tall, with reinforced exoskeletons and strength that could bend steel, the Vorgoth had built their reputation on brutality. They sat at the center table, loud and drunk on Thoraxian whiskey, celebrating their latest raid on a colony transport. In the corner booth sat Lieutenant Emma Walsh, formerly of the Human Defense Corps, currently trying to drink away memories she couldn't forget. Her uniform jacket hung on the chair beside her, leaving her in a simple gray shirt that did nothing to hide the scars on her arms, some from combat, others from things she didn't talk about. She'd been nursing the same drink for an hour, watching the Vorgoth get louder, watching other patrons give them a wide berth. She knew the type. Bullies who'd found that the galaxy had places where might made right, and they intended to exercise that right as often as possible. The Vorgoth captain, a scarred brute named Kroth, noticed her watching. "You," he bellowed across the cantina. "Human female. You stare too much." Emma looked away, back to her drink. She was off duty, off mission, and off the grid. The last thing she needed was trouble. "I'm talking to you." Kroth stood, his crew laughing as he swaggered toward her booth. "On your feet when a Vorgoth warrior addresses you." Emma's jaw tightened. "Not interested. Leave me alone." "Leave you alone." Krotha's laughter boomed. "Stupid human. You don't give Vorgoth orders." His hand shot out, striking her across the face hard enough to knock her from the booth. Emma hit the floor, tasting blood, her vision swimming. The cantina went silent. Everyone knew what came next. The Vorgoth would have their fun, maybe kill her, and no one would do anything because no one could stop them. Emma pushed herself to her knees, wiping blood from her split lip. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, controlled. "Don't hit me again." The Vorgoth crew erupted in laughter. "She warns us," one of them howled. "The little human warns mighty Vorgoth warriors." Kroth reached down, grabbing Emma by her hair and yanking her upright. "What will you do, soft skin? Cry? Beg?" He pulled back his fist. "Let me show you what happens to." Emma moved. Her hand snapped up, fingers jabbing into the nerve cluster beneath Krotha's jaw. As his grip reflexively loosened, she dropped her weight, twisted, and drove her elbow into his solar plexus with every ounce of strength she had. Vorgoth exoskeletons were strong, but they had joints, gaps, vulnerable points, if you knew where to hit. And Emma Walsh had spent 3 years learning exactly where to hit. Kroth stumbled back, gasping. Before his crew could react, Emma had already flowed into motion. She grabbed a chair, not to swing it like an amateur, but to block the first raider's charge. As he tangled with the furniture, she slipped past his guard and struck at his knee joint, a precision kick that bypassed his armor and hit the vulnerable ligament beneath. He went down screaming. "Get her," someone shouted. 2 more rushed her simultaneously. Emma didn't try to match their strength. Instead, she used the cantina's layout, the tables, the narrow spaces between booths. She led them into bottlenecks where their size became a liability, where they blocked each other's attacks. A Vorgoth fist crashed into the wall where her head had been a second before. Emma was already moving, flowing like water, striking like lightning. Nerve clusters. Joint vulnerabilities. Pressure points that made even Vorgoth nervous systems scream in protest. One raider grabbed her from behind, lifting her off her feet. Most fighters would have panicked, tried to break free through strength they didn't have. Emma went limp for half a second, then drove her head backward into his face. As his grip loosened, she hooked her leg behind his, twisted her hips, and used his own momentum to send him crashing into a table. 5 down. The remaining 3 Vorgoth had stopped laughing. They spread out, trying to surround her, moving with the practiced coordination of experienced fighters. Emma's breathing was controlled, measured. This was the part most people didn't understand about human combat doctrine. It wasn't about being the strongest or the fastest. It was about being the most adaptable, the most efficient, the most willing to use absolutely everything available. She grabbed a bottle from the bar, not to throw, but to break against the counter. Now she had a weapon with reach. When the next raider charged, she didn't aim for his armor. She went for his eyes, forcing him to flinch, to raise his arms to protect his face. That left his midsection exposed for the kick that crumpled him. 6 down. Croth had recovered, rage overriding his pain. He came at her with a roar, both fists swinging. Emma ducked under the first punch, rolled away from the second, and came up beside the bar. Her hand found what she'd been looking for, an industrial-grade stun rod that the bartender kept for emergencies. "You fight like a coward." Croth snarled. "No honor. No strength." Emma activated the stun rod, its electric crackle filling the sudden silence. "Honor doesn't mean stupid. Strength isn't just muscle." She feinted left, then went right as Croth took the bait. The stun rod connected with his exposed side, right where the armor plates met. Electricity coursed through the gap, and the mighty Vorgoth warrior dropped like a stone. 7 down. The last raider looked at his fallen crew, then at the small human woman standing in the center of the carnage. Blood ran from her split lip. Bruises were already forming on her face and arms. But she was standing, stun rod still crackling in her hand, eyes cold and focused. He ran. Emma let him go. She deactivated the stun rod, set it on the bar, and walked back to her booth on shaking legs. Her drink was spilled, her jacket had boot prints on it, and every part of her body was starting to register the pain she'd been ignoring during the fight. The bartender, a Xylothai who'd been hiding behind his counter, slowly emerged. You're human military. Was, Emma corrected, sliding into her booth. Just wanted a quiet drink. You gave them warnings, the bartender continued, his voice awed. You told him not to hit you again. Yes. Why warn them at all? Emma looked at the unconscious Vorgoth scattered across the cantina floor. 20 minutes ago, they'd been laughing at her. Now none of them were standing. Because humans don't want to fight, she said quietly. We'd rather talk, negotiate, walk away. We'll warn you, give you chances to back down, try every peaceful option first. She touched her split lip, wincing. But if you ignore those warnings, if you decide violence is the answer. She gestured at the aftermath. Then we'll show you what we learned surviving on a death world for 200,000 years. The bartender poured her a fresh drink, on the house. What did you learn? Emma took a sip, closing her eyes. That the most dangerous predator isn't the strongest or the fastest. It's the one that's smart enough to avoid fighting until fighting is the only option left, and then ends it as quickly and efficiently as possible. She finished her drink in silence. By the time station security arrived, the Vorgoth were starting to wake up, groaning and confused. They found themselves in restraints, charged with assault on a station patron. Emma was gone, disappeared into the crowds of Station Fortuna. But the story spread fast, the way stories do in places like this. The Vorgoth raiders who'd laughed at a human's warning. The human who'd kept her word and put them all down in 20 minutes. The cantina became something of a legend after that. They kept Emma's booth exactly as it was, placed a small plaque on the table that read, "She gave them a warning." They should have listened. And in the lawless sectors, where might had always made right, pirates and raiders started to learn a new rule: when a human gives you a warning, you take it seriously. Because humans will give you every chance to walk away. But if you choose violence, they'll show you exactly why Earth is classified as a Class 9 death world, and why its inhabitants learn to be the most efficient predators in the galaxy.